First and foremost, I want to just say hi and thanks for tuning in again. My name is Clara, and I have been documenting my journey with going off of antidepressants after a epic bout of postpartum depression, which was super exciting. As it is Mother's Day today, I have been reflecting quite a bit on my experience with postpartum depression and what led me to the point of finally accepting taking antidepressants. I tend to try to avoid pharmaceutical drugs as much as possible because I don't like the idea of having any level of chemical dependency in my life or even the potential for it. So I even try to avoid pain meds and everything. I'll take them when it's absolutely necessary, but I avoid them usually at all costs. So for me to go on to antidepressants, it was a big deal, like a colossally big deal. I had my daughter, my second child, in October of 2021, and things with her started out fine, but got progressively worse. Her health declined, and my mental health declined along with her. It was a cause of a lot of stress and sadness and darkness in my mind and in my life, especially because we went into a winter. A very, very snowy, icy winter. I knew I had postpartum depression, and at that, pretty bad postpartum depression at that, because I had a lot of intrusive thoughts, which I go into a lot more on my first video. I had hopeless thoughts that this was never going to end, thoughts that this was going to be my life forever, that I started to find myself resenting my kids and then also feeling immense guilt for that, because in my heart of hearts I love my kids more than anything. So it was a very conflicting time to resent them but also love them and not imagine your life without them. And I felt as if it would never end. I had some people and some friends help remind me that this is just a season, but even when you're just in the season of that, it feels endless because every day feels like it's years long. And it was about at that point where I just felt excessive hopelessness that I finally reached out to my doctor, and he met with me, and I was able to start antidepressants. And after, I think it was like 6 weeks of getting on them, I finally felt like I could be a functional and present mom. And I was so grateful for that. But when I got on my antidepressants, I got on them knowing that I was not going to stay on them forever. I got on them knowing that I was going to get off them the following, at least within a year. So I started taking them, I think, in like April of last year, and I started going off of them April of this year. So I was able to attain that goal, which I know a lot of people are able to do and a lot of people are not able to do. It all depends on the discussions you have with your doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I'm just sharing my experience. As I've been going through the process of having postpartum depression, getting on the medication, being on bupropion, and as I've been on that for this year and as I've been going off, I've been able to reflect and think to myself and see how those thoughts and those feelings that I just shared earlier, how they have shifted and been replaced with more positivity, more hopefulness. And I wanted to go into a little more detail about that. So super gratefully, those dark thoughts and those hopeless feelings have been replaced with much better things. So for my thoughts, like what I call them, intrusive thoughts, the dark thoughts, those have been replaced with just more hope for the future, happier thoughts. I don't have any intrusive thoughts anymore. I don't feel like my life is just going to be a dark, horrible place for the rest of my life. And that has just been such a nice thing to come to the realization of. One thing about me is I've always been a worst case scenario thinker. And so now the dark thoughts are just worst case scenario. But even then, I've gotten to the point where I can rein that in and be like, that hasn't happened yet. So why am I thinking that it's going to happen? Because that's how you live in anxiety, right? Depression is looking to the past. Anxiety is looking to the future and worrying about both things that you don't have control over. So as I've been stuck as I've always been a worst case scenario thinker. But instead of having those hopeless thoughts, I've been able to stop myself and be like, I can't control the future. I can't even control the now. All I can be is present in the now and do my best. And that has been hugely helpful for, I've never been diagnosed with anxiety, but I think to some degree we all have it as moms. It's really hard not to constantly think about the future. I feel hope on a daily basis now. I feel excitement, joy, and just insistent love towards my children, myself, my husband, and everything else. And that has been a huge relief. Hopelessness is such a hard thing to cope with because we're doused with hopelessness every single day in the media. And so to have that permeate into your thoughts and into your personal life with your children and husband and yourself is just, it's almost too much to handle. So to be able to have flipped that around and start shifting my perspective from when I got on antidepressants and as I'm continuing to get off of them has been such a huge blessing and such a huge help. I have also been able to learn and more fully accept that there is a season for everything. The issues with my daughter, the season of my postpartum depression was about 5 months, and her issues only lasted 3 more months after that, approximately 3 more months after that. And so I wanted to focus on, there was a season. It was a very distinct timeline. And that is how everything is, at least in my experience. There's a very distinct timeline for our struggles and our sufferings. And that's just so nice. We don't know what the timeline is. Only God knows. But it's just so nice to have that perspective that this is a season. This will not last forever. I will come out on the other side. And that is a perspective that I am been able to really hold on to and cultivate through my time on antidepressants. So if I am confronted with this again, hopefully I will have the resources in my mind still to help me through it. Those of you who have seen the Bourne movies, with Matt Damon, you know how everything kind of they film it with a dark filter. When I was experiencing postpartum depression, I felt like I was living my life in that kind of dark filter. And as I got on the antidepressants, I worked on things, and as I'm getting off, I don't feel like I'm in a dark filter anymore. And I don't think I realized that I was seeing life through a dark filter. The fact that I am not anymore has made me realize that I was seeing it through a dark filter, and that's just wild. It's really weird feeling like you're in a Born Ultimatum movie, because those movies are crazy. This last week, I've been going through something that if I was still dealing with depression and I hadn't given myself the tools and resources that I needed, I would have really sunk into a pit of despair. I have been having a struggle with a friend where on my end of things, I feel like I've been bullied, cyberbullied and harassed, and I feel like there's been a lot of gossip about me for reasons that I don't know. I asked, and I don't know what set this off. And I found myself, on Saturday, I found myself spiraling pretty hard. And I found myself spiraling again on Monday and Tuesday. But last Sunday, I went to church and I was praying and fasting about how to handle the situation. And there is a little catchphrase that the prophet of the church I attend, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, there's a little catchphrase that he said in a talk a couple years ago, and it was, think celestial. Or in other words, just have an eternal perspective in your day-to-day life, in your choices, in your actions, in all those things. And so I was really pondering that. It popped into my head at church while I was fasting and praying about it and how to handle this friend situation. And it popped into my head and I was just like, that's such a stupid answer. I hate that answer. I wanted something a little more direct. And it turns out it was incredibly direct because like I said, she left me alone on Sunday, but on Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday, felt like a nonstop avalanche of crazy headed my way. And Tuesday, that answer popped back into my head. Think celestial. It pulled me right out of my spiraling dark feelings and the tears and the frustration and the mourning and the sadness. Because I realized that this season with this friend, it's a drop in the ocean of eternity. Eternity will go on forever. My life, My existence is forever. And this one friend, whatever she's going through and her actions towards me are just a drop in the bucket. It will not affect me for the rest of my life unless I let it. And so in that moment, I was able to release all of my negative feelings about the situation. I was able to release it. And that's not something I think I could have done when I was in depression mode, when I was getting out of it with the antidepressants. I don't think I would have been able to do that, because after I started my antidepressants is when I started coaching with my coach. And through this year with my coach, she has helped me realize that I can stay in the moment, that these situations are not forever. They cannot impact you unless you want them to, unless you allow them to. I had my coaching call with my coach on Monday, and during that call, she really helped me. Like, I kept my hand on my heart during the call so I could just really feel and be present with my emotions in the moment. And it was so beneficial, and something that I wish I would have been able to do when my child was going through her stuff and when I was going through my stuff. Just hold myself present and just be like, okay, I am mourning. In the case with this friend, I was mourning the fact that I had lost a friend, that she no longer wanted to be around me, that our friendship was falling apart. And it helped me stay present, and it helped me feel my emotions, and it helped me calm down so much, to the point where I could figure out the answer to my prayer, why thinking celestial was the key to my problems. And then as I've been reflecting, I've been like, what if I was able to do that when I was dealing with my daughter's problems? What if I was able to sit down and just hold my heart and do this and just be like, I am mourning the fact that I didn't get, oh no, it's happening again. What if I was able to sit there and just hold space for myself and mourn the fact that I wasn't having the newborn experience that I wanted? What if I was able to sit there and give myself the space and the grace to feel and recognize the emotions that I was feeling? What if I was able to just hold my heart and just say, heart, it's okay. It's not forever. Everything's going to be fine because it's in God's hands. I wasn't able to do that when I was going through my depression because I wasn't able to think clearly. I wasn't able to feel clearly. But I just imagine that if I had those resources and that ability, the experience would have still been very hard, but more manageable to sit in the space of what was happening in that moment. And I am so grateful. Gosh, this is going to be weird to say, but inevitably, I am so grateful for that experience with her. The experience with my daughter and her health problems and my depression brought us so close together. She had to lean into me, like most babies do anyways, but she had to lean into me for so many reasons, because we had to be in the hospital together. We had to do so many appointments and feeding therapies, and I had to learn how to put a feeding tube in her nose. And I also had to learn how to be present with myself, and I had to learn and tap into an inner strength that I didn't know I had. I had to lean into my community. I had to ask members of my community for help in ways that I never wanted to ask for help. There was one time we didn't get so when my daughter was born, I eventually put up Christmas lights because it was October. I put them up like in November, and we didn't have the time or the energy to take them down. And one day my friend's husband texted me, and he's like, hey, Claire, do you have a ladder? And I was like, sure, yeah, I have a ladder. When do you need it? And he's like, well, come pick it up right now. And I was like, great. He came over with his wife, and they have a daughter my son's age, and they brought her over, and they took down and packed away all of our Christmas lights. There was another member of my community who brought us food, like, I think every night for like a month. Like, we didn't have to make food for so long, and we had so many health restrictions, and there was more than just her that did that. But so many people brought us food and everything, and it was just, as I look back, I'm like, how many amazing blessings and tender mercies did we have during that time? And then, like, another thing is, 2 other women in the church that I attend, they came and cleaned my whole house while I sat on the couch. And it's just amazing when you're in the depression, it's so hard to see the beauty in your life. It really is. But when you come out of it and you can reflect on it, you start to see the beauty and the service and the love in this world. And I'm so grateful that I'm on the other side and able to look back and see that. And since being in that situation, I have been a lot more sensitive to mothers. I'll always ask how their baby is doing and how they're doing, but I'll always follow up with, and how is your mental health? Because not enough mothers get asked that question. And so I encourage you to do that with the mothers in your life. Ask them all the questions, but also, how is your mental health? Because a lot of moms are suffering. I felt really inspired to share all that with you because a huge part of going off of antidepressants with me is just reflecting and mourning and feeling gratitude and seeing the miracles in my life and realizing that I have come out of that whole experience so much stronger and capable. And it's weird to be grateful for those hardships. It feels weird to be like, I'm so grateful for all those hardships, but I am. I really am. And on that vein, in a very weird segue, I want to share a bit more about the symptoms I'm experiencing. This is week 4 of going off of antidepressants. I have been on 150 milligrams of bupropion per day. I take one 75 milligram pill in the morning, one in the evening. And this week I will be starting on one in the morning, and that's it. And then I'll just go off in 2 weeks. But some of my symptoms are all pretty much the same, but to review, it's kind of funny. I've realized that I don't know if I'm still feeling brain fog or if it's just a natural part of my life now. But also I'm feeling, I've got random bouts of like severe irritability, which I think plays into the fact that I have not been sleeping. It doesn't help that I've had this friend stress. Okay, I'm not crying anymore. I can put these back on. It doesn't help that I've been dealing with this friend stress. On Monday night with this friend problem, I didn't fall asleep till 4 and I woke up at like 7 or 8. But my normal has been, during this whole process, I haven't been able to fall asleep till 2. However, last night I was really tired. I got to bed by like 11:30 and I fell asleep by like 12:15, I think. I have no idea, but it wasn't 2 a.m. and that was amazing. I feel so well rested. So the sleeplessness and it got better last night. I hope that's a long-term thing. Yesterday I ran some errands with my son, and while I was driving, I had 2 bouts of vertigo. And I was talking to one of my friends who's gone off of antidepressants before, and she said that is a very common experience, getting vertigo when you're going off of antidepressants. A little nerve-wracking when it happens when you're driving. I was fully ready to just pull over. Luckily, it passed fairly quickly. And then last night, I wore shoes that I don't normally wear. I wore 3-inch heels, and I got vertigo while walking. And part of my brain wanted to joke and say, oh, that's because of the altitude. In reality, it was just a symptom of getting off of antidepressants. And my appetite is still pretty bad. I've been having... Gosh, ever since I started this, I've been having a lack of appetite. I've been eating mostly because I know I need to survive, but I haven't been feeling like I want to eat. And so that's been a very interesting one to deal with. One of the things that I've been really focusing on as I've been journaling is focusing on the tender mercies in my day-to-day. For example, the love and support of my friends and family. I've also been so grateful in finding so much joy in watching my children learn how to ride their bikes. So we're in Montana, we have a season called spring winter. And spring winter is when it's spring, but you might have 4 days of blizzards. So we had the winter part of spring winter a couple days ago and had like 3 or 4 days of blizzards. And I don't necessarily like that, but I found the joy in the snow because I went running in the snow, and I actually really enjoy running in the snow. So there was a tender mercy in there. We had an amazing light show the other night with the Northern Lights, and that was another tender mercy. Another one would be getting ice cream with my son and going out with my friends for my friend's birthday. So this week has been full of some really beautiful experiences, some insanely hard experiences, and a lot of self-reflection. I'm glad I was able to share that with you guys. I wanted to say thanks again for following along. I don't think I would be doing as well as I am without this accountability that I have with all of you that are following along. This accountability, this goal that I have to share my experience has given me strength to want to succeed, to continue onwards, and to journal, which is hugely beneficial in this process. So if you are going to go off of antidepressants, I suggest keeping a journal. I number it Detox Day 26. I highly suggest that. But because of this whole experience, I've been journaling every single day about my experience in my day-to-day life. I have felt much more motivated to share. I have been more introspective about what I'm going through. And that is, I think, been one of the biggest helps. So thank you guys. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel so that you can continue to get updates. I like to share little shorts throughout the week to kind of lighten the mood. So please like, share, subscribe, and please wish me luck as I drop another dosage this week. I think everything's going to be great. I think I'll be able to handle it with my journal and my friends and my family and the sunshine. But wish me luck as I do that. And thanks, and I look forward to sharing again with you next week. I hope you all have a lovely day, and happy Mother's Day to the mothers out there. Just know that I see you and I feel you. And if you are suffering, do not suffer in silence. Reach out to people that you trust. Reach out to your community. Your community has resources. If you live in Bozeman, I know a lot of the resources. Feel free to text me, but do not suffer in silence. Reach out, talk to people, get the help you need.